And thanks for joining us today for some virtual vitamin Z as we bring the Detroit Zoo to you. My name is Claire and I'm a curator of education with the Detroit Zoological Society, where we are celebrating and saving wildlife. And today I am joined by Betsie, our associate curator of mammals.
Someone else too. Hi, how are you?
And two special guests. These are both horses, and they live in the barnyard farm area of the Detroit Zoo, and they have kind of a unique story as to how they came here and why they're living here at the Detroit Zoo. And Betsie's here to join me to tell you a lot of information about these two specific horses that live in our care. So this is Trio and Buster. And Betsie, where did they come from to get to here?
Trio and Buster came from an organization called Canter. It's the Communication Alliance Network for Thoroughbred X racehorses. So these boys, Trio is right in front of us here. He's the chestnut color, and Buster is on the right. He's like a dark bay, dark brown color. They're both X racehorses. Trio actually raced in over 72 races in early in his career, and they're both retired now. And they got involved with the organization Canter because a lot of times when racehorses retire, they're either going to private owners or sometimes, sadly enough, they're euthanized unless they can be picked up by a rescue organization like Canter, who is here in Michigan. And we're so glad to be able to provide these guys their retirement home here at the zoo.
Now, how long have Trio and Buster lived here with us?
They both came in 2009. Trio came in March. And a few months later in August, Buster joined Trio, and they became fast friends, instant buddies, and they love roaming around and trotting around and out here in this big yard.
Do you know how old Trio and Buster are?
I do. Trio is 21, and Buster is 16. And horses can live to their late 20s, 30s, I mean, depending on how their care is. You know, you can see Trio down there loving grass. They love to graze. They get special treats now and again. That's a little bit of grapevine down there that they love to eat. And they also get a variety of hay, Timothy hay, and some pellets each day.
So they're not related. They just came from two different, and now they're just horse friends that live together.
Good pals. They like horsing around, you know, all that fun stuff. Good pals hanging out. Trio is a little bit more dominant, has more of a pushy personality, if you want to say, than Buster. But they're great friends and they get along well, and you know, they enjoy hanging out here at the barnyard. Even with some of our other animals, sometimes they are in with the donkeys per se, like depends on which yard they're in. We have two. Oops.
Okay, so you mentioned they have two different yards, and we haven't always had those two different yards. I don't remember when we built the second yard. It was a few years ago now?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, that we put in this yard that we're currently looking at. We call it the North Yard because it's north of the South Yard over there to the left. This used to be a former picnic space, and we said, hey, this is a great space for the horses to have more room. And since we have so many other picnic spaces in the park for our guests, we said, hey, let's give this space to the horses. So at some point, there's a double gate right across the road over there that they walk through during the day when they're crossing from yard to yard, or even at nighttime we give them both spaces so they have double the space to roam around whichever place they want to be.
That's awesome that we were able to expand it. I mean, this is almost double, if not more, of the previous
at least double,
farm
if
space.
Not more. And a lot of nice grass. And a funny story, when we first put them over here in this north yard, I remember that day they watched the whole yard being built from their south enclosure. They watched the gates going up, and they were right there at the gate like, hey, we know that new space is just for us. And when we opened those gates, they both ran over here and did huge laps in the yard, running around and exploring and just kicking up their heels and having so much fun in their new expanded space.
That's fantastic. Now, both these horses are domesticated, so there's a difference between domesticated and wild. So domesticated means they've been in human care for generations.
Correct.
And they rely on human care for food, for shelter. So these two horses wouldn't survive out in the wild on their own. Whereas many of the animals who are in our care here at the Detroit Zoo are wild. So are horses one of the animals that you will go into the yard with?
Yes, the keepers do enter the same spaces as the horses. It enhances their care. The keepers will check their feet, make sure their hooves are, nice and clean each day. They'll brush them because in the winter these two boys grow out nice bushy coats to help keep them warm. So in the springtime, they blow out that winter coat, so they need to be brushed and groomed each day, just as, you know, a horse anywhere would need to be.
Now, do we do anything special to ensure that they have enough exercise? I mean, they obviously have quite a bit of room here and in the south yard, and they can choose between the two at different points. How do we make sure they're getting enough exercise?
Well, you can see a hay feeder right here in front of us. We actually put their food in several different places in the yard, so they go to different spots to get their food. We switch it from yard to yard all the time. We encourage them to use all points of the yard, but they do that on their own just well.
So these horses will never be ridden again, right?
No,
okay.
They will never be ridden again. They are retired. They are enjoying their retirement. We don't want to put them through anything like that anymore. And they are just loving life here at the zoo, grazing. They're pampered. Their keepers absolutely love them. All the staff here does.
So they just got a little extra treat. Is that, whoop, hi.
There's Trio saying hello.
Hello, Trio. I'm going to back up and give you your space. They just got a little bit more hay down here as a special treat.
That is their Timothy hay, part of their main diet. So they get that several times a day to simulate the grazing that they would do, but they also have this nice grass out in the yard that they can graze from too.
That's one of my favorite things about the fact that they have this new yard and then the south yard is that the grass has a chance to grow back.
Yes.
In between all the grazing.
And we rotate them around, so we do have that fresh grass, but we also give them, you know, both yards at the same time, so they have the maximum amount of space possible.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions about Trio or Buster specifically, you can type them into that comment box here real quick as we're checking them out this morning. Again, Trio and Buster are both rescued racehorses who are retired from horse racing and have found their forever sanctuary home here at the Detroit Zoo in our care. And we've been learning a little bit about them and their personalities this morning.
If you want to know, Buster is about 1,400 pounds.
Wow, 1,400 pounds.
And Trio's about 1,100. He's just about a little bit of a smaller horse as a Trio on the right with that chestnut color. But Buster is a big guy. He's 1,400 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how many hands tall he is, how some horsemen like to say with their measurements. But we usually walk them down to a scale near our veterinary hospital every couple months to get their weight. And they enjoy going for a nice long walk. That's also another way that we give them exercise, is we walk them around the zoo sometimes, over to the veterinary hospital usually.
So I know, Betsie, that you had said this. Alex is requesting, and I apologize for not remembering, how old are Buster and Trio?
Buster is 16 and Trio is 21.
Are you reaching out to get some more grass here? Oh, there's a,
Standard.
yep. Awesome.
He wants to see what we're doing over here.
I know, right? They're both very curious.
Very curious. I love their ears, how they can point any which way, hear everything around them. Their eyes are so beautiful too. They tell such a story just by looking in their eyes.
So you can tell a lot about an animal, if it's a predator versus prey animal, about how their ears and their eyes are situated. You notice the eyes are on the side of the horse's head here, one on either side, and that's indicative of a prey animal who needs to look around all around them to see if there's a predator coming. And you can also notice those ears, how they flick around, and they're actually quite large. Human ears are pretty useless, really. They're flattened against our head and they don't move.
They don't move.
Whereas you can see the horse is moving his ears to be able to hear us and see what else is going around us. So again, another indicator that this is an animal that needs to be on the lookout, not here, but if they were out in the wild for predators. Is he looking?
Buster's going to go find some grass, I think.
Very good. All right, so thank you everybody for your questions this morning. If you have more questions that we didn't get to, feel free to drop those in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We have a little short survey in one of our comments posted here if you want to fill out if you've watched any of our other virtual vitamin Z videos and give us a little bit of feedback. Like I said, we'd love to hear from you. Betsie, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to introduce Trio and Buster to all of us.
It's such a beautiful day. Come out to the zoo, have a nice walk, see the animals, the horses, everybody. We're just so happy to have people here again.
It really is a perfect zoo day.
It is.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Until next time, stay safe and take care of each other.